All right, get ready to dive deep, everyone, because today we're taking on the Bermuda Triangle.
That notorious patch in the Atlantic,
Yeah, you know it.
where ships and planes just seem to vanish
Poof.
into thin air.
Exactly. And you know what's even better? Is our listeners sent us a ton of research on this.
Articles, incident reports, the whole works.
So we're going deep.
Get ready for some seriously strange stories.
Vanishing planes, ghost ships.
Maybe even a time warp or two. Who knows?
I see you've had some time to go through all this material. Where do we even begin with a topic like this?
Well, I think the best way to kick things off is to just dive right in.
Okay, I like it.
Let's start with some of the most well-known incidents.
Yeah, like the greatest hits of the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly. It's like solving a puzzle.
Okay.
You got to start with the pieces.
I'm with you on that. So which piece are we starting with?
Let's start with a story that's more maritime legend than hard fact.
Ooh, I love a good legend.
The tale of the Ellen Austin.
Ellen Austin.
Yeah.
I'm listed.
So the story goes, this ship encountered another vessel, just adrift at sea. A ghost ship.
Totally deserted?
A ghost ship. Like no crew, no captain, nothing.
Nothing. They put a prize crew on board to sail it back to port.
Hold on. Wait, a prize crew? You mean they just took control of a random empty ship?
That was the practice back then. But here's where it gets really interesting depending on which version of the story you find.
Okay, there are multiple versions.
Yeah, so the derelict ship either vanished again in a storm or was found once more completely empty.
Just like so double ghost ship.
Exactly.
Okay, that's creepy. But if there's no evidence of this happening, how to become part of the Bermuda Triangle legend?
That's a great question. It seems like a classic case of a good story getting better with time.
I guess every legend has to start somewhere.
Right, Lawrence David Kush,
Yeah.
the author who spent a lot of time debunking Bermuda Triangle myths.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't find any real documentation to back up the Ellen Austin story.
From the 1880s when this supposedly happened.
Right, it seems like the legend popped up in a book from the 1940s. Interesting. So maybe not a real ghost ship, but definitely a ghost story that's become part of the whole triangle lore.
Exactly.
All right, so what about an incident we do have evidence for? What about Flight 19? That one always gives me chills.
Definitely a chilling case.
Yeah.
5 Navy bombers vanished without a trace during a routine training flight over the Triangle.
Back in 1945.
Yep.
And what's even creepier, a search plane sent out to find them disappeared too.
Just like that. Gone.
Like poof.
The last message from Flight 19's leader's eerie, too.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said, everything looks strange, even the ocean.
Almost like they were transported somewhere else.
Exactly.
Okay, now that's just unsettling. Is there any explanation, any theory at all that holds up for Flight 19?
Despite tons of theories, navigational errors, sudden storms, you name it, it remains a mystery.
Ships vanish, planes vanish. Is there any rhyme or reason to it all?
It really does seem random.
I know.
And speaking of ships disappearing, we can't forget about the USS Cyclops.
The Cyclops. Okay, remind me about that one.
This was a massive Navy collier carrying over 300 people and a whole load of manganese ore. Vanished in 1918. No distress call. Nothing.
Wait, hold on, a collier. What exactly is that?
It's a ship specifically designed to carry coal. But in this case, it was carrying manganese ore.
Huh. Okay. And what happened to it?
It just disappeared. It's one of the largest losses of life in the Triangle's history.
A massive vessel just gone without a trace.
It's almost like the ocean swallowed it whole.
Wait, makes you wonder if some of these disappearances could be related to like one specific phenomenon, Something big enough to take down a ship that size.
It's definitely a thought-provoking idea.
Oh.
But before we get into potential explanations, let's talk about the witchcraft.
The witchcraft, this wasn't one of those huge freighters, right?
It was a luxury cabin cruiser.
Okay, and it disappeared.
In 1967.
And this is perplexing. Why?
Well, Dan Burak, the owner, and a priest named Patrick Horgan were on board.
Where were they?
Just a mile offshore, they wanted to see the Miami Christmas lights. Burak called the Coast Guard, needing a tow for a minor issue with his propeller. He sounded calm, even mentioned the boat had special flotation devices.
So a minor problem, a boat designed to stay afloat, and they're right near the shore.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, what went wrong?
That's the thing, no one knows. Coast Guard arrived at the witchcraft's location and there was absolutely nothing there. Vanished.
A boat that's supposed to stay afloat disappearing like that? It's unsettling, to say the least.
Really highlights the unexplainable nature of a lot of these incidents,
Defying logic.
which fuels the fascination with the Bermuda Triangle.
You got that right. All right, so I know we've got a lot more incidents to cover.
We do.
But before we move on, what about the story of the SS Cotopaxi?
Ah, the Cotopaxi.
Doesn't that ship disappear in the triangle only to reappear decades later?
That story's interesting because it was considered another unsolved triangle mystery for years.
Until.
It disappeared in 1925 after sending a distress call. And then nothing until 2020.
So they found it.
Yes, but not quite in the way people imagined.
How's
Researchers identified a shipwreck off the coast of Florida as the Cotopaxi.
So no time travel or anything.
No time travel, no alien intervention, just a shipwreck that was finally identified after decades.
Huh. So one mystery solved. But that still leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions.
A lot.
What about these incidents we've talked about? Are there any plausible explanations for this? Or are we heading into paranormal territory?
Well, there are some scientific theories that might shed some light on some of these disappearances.
Okay, I'm listening.
Let's talk about methane hydrates.
Methane hydrates. Remind me about those.
Imagine massive pockets of methane gas trapped beneath the ocean floor.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
These pockets, the methane hydrates, can become unstable and erupt.
And how would that make a ship disappear?
When these hydrates erupt, they release a huge amount of gas into the water. This messes with the water's density, and ships can suddenly lose their buoyancy.
So they just sink.
Basically, yeah, they could sink incredibly fast, maybe even without warning.
So a ship could just fall through the ocean? That's terrifying. But that would only explain ships sinking, right? What about planes falling out of the sky?
That's the catch with the methane hydrate theory.
Hmm.
Doesn't really address aircraft disappearances. And to be honest, it's still a debated theory even for ships.
So if it's not exploding methane bubbles, what else could it be? I've heard the term rogue waves thrown around. Could those be a factor in the Bermuda Triangle?
Absolutely. Rogue waves are essentially giant, unpredictable walls of water that can appear out of nowhere.
And we're talking.
We're talking waves over 100 feet tall, powerful enough to take down even the largest ships.
I've seen videos of those.
They're incredible.
Yeah, they're monstrous. So have we actually observed rogue waves in the Bermuda Triangle?
While we haven't definitively linked any specific incident to a rogue wave, the area's location and weather patterns make it a prime spot for these unpredictable giants to form.
That's definitely something to consider,
Definitely.
especially for the ships. But I keep thinking about Flight 19 and those other aircraft disappearances. Could rogue waves really explain those?
That's a good point. Rogue waves are primarily a threat to ships, not planes, flying thousands of feet above the water.
Okay, that makes sense. So for those cases, we need to look at other possibilities.
You do.
What about the weather in general? I mean, the Bermuda Triangle is known for its unpredictable storms, right?
Definitely hurricanes, sudden squalls,
Hmm.
rapidly changing weather. It's all part of the triangle's environment.
And these conditions.
Can create serious hazards for both ships and aircraft.
So a violent storm could easily overwhelm a small plane or even a larger ship and potentially lead to a disappearance.
Exactly. And often those same storms make search and rescue efforts difficult.
Making it even harder to find any wreckage.
Which, of course,
Just adds to the mystery.
precisely. But we can't forget about the human element in all of this.
You mean?
Human error, mistakes being made.
Right, so like navigational errors.
Exactly.
Big thing.
Equipment failures. Even simple miscalculations can have catastrophic consequences, especially in a challenging environment like the Bermuda Triangle.
So a pilot gets lost, a ship's compass malfunctions, and suddenly they're off course and in trouble.
Right. And before modern navigation and communication technology, these errors were even more likely to lead to disaster.
Makes you wonder how many unexplained disappearances are really just down to human mistakes.
It's a valid point. And some researchers believe that the Bermuda Triangle's reputation is partly fueled by media sensationalism,
Meaning?
focusing on the mystery and overlooking more mundane explanations.
So you're saying the Bermuda Triangle might be more hype than anything else? That's not actually any more dangerous than other parts of the ocean?
Not necessarily. While many incidents likely have rational explanations, some truly remain unexplained.
Okay, so those are the ones that really keep the mystery alive.
And those unexplained cases are the ones that capture our imaginations, fueling the mystery.
It's like we're looking at a puzzle, we can see some of the pieces, but a whole chunk of the picture is still missing.
A perfect analogy.
Oh.
And it's that missing piece, that unknown element, that makes the Bermuda Triangle so intriguing.
All right, so we've talked about some scientific theories, the possibility of human error, and even touched on the power of rogue waves.
Right.
But we can't wrap this up without exploring the more unconventional explanations for the Bermuda Triangle, right?
You're right. It's time to venture into the realm of the supernatural.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. All right, so we're officially heading into supernatural territory now. What's first up?
Well, we can't talk about the Bermuda Triangle without mentioning Atlantis, right?
Of course not. The Lost City.
The idea of a technologically advanced civilization hidden beneath the waves, somehow interfering with ships and planes.
It's like something straight out of a movie.
Yeah.
But is there any real evidence to support this theory? Has anyone actually found anything remotely Atlantean down there?
While the idea is certainly exciting, there's no scientific evidence to support Atlantis' existence, let alone a connection to the Bermuda Triangle.
So maybe Atlantis is a little far-fetched. What about time warps? I've heard stories of pilots reporting weird time distortions in the triangle or like running into mysterious fogs.
Time warps and temporal anomalies are definitely popular in science fiction.
And there are.
Those anecdotal accounts, from pilots and sailors claiming to have experienced strange time shifts within the triangle. Some even describe these peculiar fog banks that disorient them or cause their instruments to malfunction.
I bet those stories make for some wild debriefings. But scientifically speaking, are time warps even possible?
The idea of time warps, as they're often depicted in science fiction, kind of falls outside our current scientific understanding.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity does show that time is relative, right? So
Exactly.
you're
So.
saying time travel isn't entirely off the table?
Well, not exactly. While the theory of relativity allows for time dilation, time passing at different rates under certain conditions, the kind of time warps that would make ships and planes just vanish are highly unlikely.
Okay, so maybe time travel is a stretch. What about alien abductions? Could extraterrestrials be behind some of these disappearances?
Ah, yes, the alien abduction theory, a
That's a
classic,
popular one.
especially among UFO enthusiasts,
Yeah, the idea.
that extraterrestrials are using the triangle as some kind of intergalactic portal, or maybe they have a secret underwater base there.
So they're just snagging a few ships and planes and heading back to their home planet. I can see why that theory has some appeal.
It's a simple explanation, but like the others, there's no credible evidence to support it.
No crashed spaceships or little green men running around.
Not that we know of, but the lack of evidence hasn't stopped people from speculating.
Okay, so let's move on to something a little more monstrous. What about sea monsters? Any reports of unusual creatures in the Bermuda Triangle?
Sea monsters, from giant squid to kraken-like creatures, have been a part of maritime folklore for centuries.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
That these tales are associated with the Bermuda Triangle as well.
I mean, it makes sense. The ocean is vast and largely unexplored. Who knows what's lurking down there?
Exactly. And the Bermuda Triangle, with its mysterious reputation, is a prime spot for these legends to thrive.
So could a giant sea monster swallow a ship whole?
While it's a great image, there's no scientific evidence to suggest the existence of sea creatures large enough to take down a ship or an aircraft.
Okay.
Not likely.
We've covered Atlantis, time warps, aliens, and sea monsters. Any other paranormal theories we should consider?
Well, there's the idea that the Bermuda Triangle is a portal to another dimension, a doorway to another world.
Wait, so ships and planes aren't disappearing, they're just crossing over into a different reality. That's pretty wild.
That's the theory. It's a popular theme in science fiction and fantasy, but like many of these paranormal explanations, there's no scientific basis for it.
It seems like we've really explored the full spectrum here, from scientific to supernatural. Is there anything we've missed?
I think we've covered a lot of ground, but there's one final perspective on the Bermuda Triangle that we need to address.
Okay, what's that?
The skeptical point of view.
You mean the people who don't believe anything unusual is happening at all?
Exactly. Many researchers and organizations, including insurance companies, view the Bermuda Triangle as no more dangerous than other heavily trafficked parts of the ocean.
Hold on, insurance companies don't charge higher premiums for ships traveling through the triangle.
Nope, they don't. If the area were truly riskier, you can bet they would adjust their rates accordingly.
Good point. So are the skeptics saying the triangle's reputation is all hype?
To a certain extent, yes. They argue that many incidents blamed on the triangle have logical explanations, like weather events, human error, mechanical failures. And they point to the role of media sensationalism and confirmation bias in perpetuating the mystery.
Confirmation bias. What do you mean by that?
Confirmation bias is our tendency to focus on information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that contradicts them.
So,
In the context of the Bermuda Triangle, people might be more likely to remember and emphasize incidents that fit the narrative, of the mysterious triangle, while overlooking those with ordinary explanations.
so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we believe in the Bermuda Triangle, the more evidence we see of it, even if that evidence is misleading.
Exactly. It's a powerful psychological phenomenon that plays a role in lots of mysteries and conspiracy theories.
Okay, so the skeptics argue the triangle isn't really any different from other parts of the ocean, and we're just drawn to the more sensational stories. But what about those incidents that remain unexplained? The ones that don't fit neatly into those categories, like weather or human error.
Even skeptics acknowledge that some incidents lack a clear explanation. But they also point out that just because we don't have an explanation doesn't automatically mean something paranormal or supernatural is happening.
It's like saying, we don't know what happened, but that doesn't mean it was aliens.
Precisely. It's important to keep an open mind, but also to approach these mysteries with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So where does that leave us? We've looked at scientific theories, explored paranormal possibilities, and heard from the skeptics. Is there a definitive answer to the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle?
Unfortunately, there's no easy answer. The Bermuda Triangle remains an enigma.
A place where fact and fiction blur,
And no,
and unknown collide.
while many incidents likely have rational explanations, some truly remain unexplained. And those are the ones that keep the speculation and debate alive.
It's like,
That missing piece of the puzzle.
yeah, this giant question mark right in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly. And that's part of what keeps us fascinated. The Bermuda Triangle, despite its sinister reputation, continues to intrigue us because it represents the unknown,
It's a reminder.
that there are still mysteries out there.
Yeah, things we don't fully understand.
And those mysteries can be both terrifying and exhilarating.
You know, while we've been focusing on the ocean, there's one incident that happened on land that I always found particularly strange. The disappearances at the Great Isaac Lighthouse.
Yes, the Great Isaac Lighthouse incident is a curious one.
That cannot...
1969, during a hurricane, 2 lighthouse keepers vanished without a trace.
And this was on land, right? Not at sea.
Correct. What's even stranger is that the lighthouse light was still working, but the keepers were just gone. No sign of a struggle, no messages, no explanation.
It's like they just stepped out of existence. So this happened in the general area of the Bermuda Triangle, but on an island. Does that suggest the triangle's influence might extend beyond the sea?
It's certainly a possibility. However, we have to remember that hurricanes are incredibly powerful forces of nature. They can cause significant damage and create dangerous conditions even on land. It's possible the keepers were swept away by a storm surge or met with some other unfortunate accident.
I suppose that's more likely than a land-based time warp or alien abduction. Still, it's a chilling reminder that even on solid ground, the forces at play in the Bermuda Triangle region can be unpredictable and unforgiving.
That's a good point, and it speaks to the broader idea that while we search for answers and explanations, sometimes the mystery endures.
And maybe that's okay.
Perhaps it's a reminder that there's still things in this world that we don't fully comprehend.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Is a perfect example of that. We can analyze the data, explore the theories, and debate the possibilities. But ultimately, it remains an enigma, a place where the line between reality and imagination blurs. And that, I think, is what keeps us coming back, searching for answers, drawn to the unknown.
It's a reminder that the world is still full of wonder and mystery, even in our age of information and technology.
And those mysteries, whether they're found in the depths of the ocean or on a remote island, will continue to captivate our imaginations and inspire us to seek answers, even if those answers remain elusive.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. But I'm curious, with everything we've learned about the Bermuda Triangle, what stands out to you the most?
For me, it's not about any specific theory or incident. It's the enduring power of the mystery itself. The Bermuda Triangle, despite its potential for danger and intrigue, is ultimately a reflection of our own fascination with the unknown,
I think,
the human desire to understand.
yeah, it's not just about ships and planes vanishing. It's about that primal human desire to understand the world around us, to find answers to those questions that have haunted us for centuries.
Exactly.
And while
We may never fully solve the riddle of the Bermuda Triangle.
the journey of exploration and discovery is just as valuable as the destination.
Exactly.
So what does all of this mean for our listener? What should they take away from all these theories and explanations?
I think the most important takeaway is that the Bermuda Triangle reminds us that there are still mysteries in the world. It challenges us to think critically, to question what we think we know, and to consider different perspectives.
It's like a giant puzzle, and we're all still trying to piece it all together.
Exactly. And while we may never have all the pieces, the search for those pieces, the journey of exploration and discovery, is just as valuable as finding that final solution.
It's about embracing the unknown, even if it makes us a little uneasy.
Precisely. The Bermuda Triangle, despite its reputation for danger and disappearances, ultimately invites us to explore the boundaries of our understanding, to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp.
I love that perspective. It's not about being afraid of the unknown, but about being curious about searching for answers and acknowledging that some mysteries may never be fully solved.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle reminds us that the world is a vast and complex place, and there's always more to learn, more to discover, and more to wonder about.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Consider this. With so many possible explanations, from the scientific to the supernatural, which theory resonates most of you?
Ooh, a cliffhanger.
Uh-huh.
I love it. That's a great question. It really encourages our listener to reflect on what they've learned and come to their own conclusions.
Exactly. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle isn't just about what happened, but also about how we interpret those events, how we make sense of the unexplained.
It's about engaging our curiosity, our critical thinking skills, and even our imaginations.
Precisely. And that's what makes this topic so endlessly fascinating.
To our listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring the Bermuda Triangle, to delve deeper into the incidents, the theories, and the evidence. Who knows, you might just uncover something that sheds new light on this enduring mystery.
Happy exploring.
Until next time,
Keep those questions coming.
and stay curious. Like, it's funny, we spent all this time talking about the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle, but now I'm thinking about mysteries in general. Like, what is it about the unknown that fascinates us so much?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of woven into our nature. You know, as
Yeah.
humans,
Yeah.
we're curious creatures. We're driven to explore, to understand, to make sense of the world.
It's like that saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. And I think that's where the true allure of mysteries lies.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding the answers.
Right?
It's about that journey of discovery,
The thrill of the chase.
the possibility of uncovering something truly groundbreaking.
So if we apply that to the Bermuda Triangle, are you saying it's less about solving the mystery and more about what the mystery teaches us about ourselves?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle, with all its unexplained disappearances and strange phenomena, it forces us to confront the limits of our understanding.
Yeah.
It reminds us that there are still things out there that we can't fully explain, and maybe that's okay.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it, to acknowledge that despite all our scientific advancements and technology, there are still forces at play in the world that we just don't fully grasp.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a healthy perspective to have.
Yeah.
It keeps us grounded,
Mm.
reminds us to approach the world with a sense of wonder and humility.
So in a way, the Bermuda Triangle, even with its potentially dangerous reputation, can actually be a source of inspiration.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It inspires us to keep asking questions, to keep searching for those answers, and to never lose that childlike curiosity about the world around us.
I love that. Finding inspiration in the unknown. It's like the Bermuda Triangle is this vast, mysterious canvas, and we're all just trying to make sense of the brushstrokes.
And each of us might see something different in those brushstrokes. That's the beauty of a mystery like this.
Yeah.
It invites multiple interpretations, different perspectives, and a constant dialogue, between science skepticism and the supernatural.
Speaking of different perspectives, we've explored quite a few today. Historical incidents, scientific theories, paranormal possibilities, and even the skeptical viewpoint. It's been a whirlwind.
It's been a comprehensive deep dive. I think it really highlights the fact that the Bermuda Triangle is more than just a collection of strange events.
Right.
It's a reflection of our own desire to grapple with the unknown, to seek meaning in the face of mystery.
And maybe, just maybe, that search for meaning is more valuable than actually finding a definitive answer.
Perhaps the journey itself is the destination.
Beautifully put. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our exploration of the Bermuda Triangle.
Indeed. It's been a fascinating journey.
To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the enduring mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Remember, it's not just about ships and planes vanishing. It's about embracing the unknown, questioning what we think we know, and keeping that spark of curiosity alive.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one to unlock the secrets of this enigmatic place.
Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop asking questions.